I'd like to start off by telling a story, although it was written as a joke by Emo Phillips. And I found it in a book called entitled Call to Reconciliation by Jonathan C. Augustine. It's Call to Reconciliation, How the Church Can Model Justice, Diversity, and Inclusion. And this is what it says. I was walking across a bridge one day, and I saw a man standing on the edge, about to jump off. So I ran over and said, "Stop, don't do it." "Why shouldn't I?" he asked. "Well, there's so much to live for." "Like what?" "Well, are you religious?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Me too." "Are you Christian or Buddhist?" "Christian." "Me too." "Are you Catholic or Protestant?" "Protestant." "Me too." "Are you Episcopalian or Baptist?" "Baptist," he replied. "Wow, me too." "Are you Baptist Church of God or Baptist Church of the Lord?" Me, me too. He said, "Are you Reformed Baptist Church of God?" "Me too." "Are you Reformed Baptist Church of God, Reformation 1879, or Reformed Baptist Church of God, Reformation 1915? He said, "I'm Baptist Reformation of God, 1915. I said, "Die, heretic," and pushed them off. Now, that story obviously has some humor in it, but it's also a little descriptive of some of the challenges we face today in humanity and just in the Christian church, but also in our interfaith dialogues and even among countries. So that's why I thought that today we would get our encouragement from some geese and not from humans. I'm just kidding. There will be some encouragement today from humans also. Science tells us that the geese fly together in community and in a V formation because they get 70% more airlift together than they would on their own. In other words, the goose understands that it can travel more efficiently and effective to its destination with other geese. It has been said, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. As I looked at how these geese migrate together, and I'm using the word migrate strategically because they migrate looking for better pastures, they migrate looking for better lands, they migrate because of shortages of food and sometimes even to breed. And as we know, ecological climate change has disrupted migration altogether. But I immediately thought of those of us serving in leadership positions. And I do believe that everyone here today is a leader. It does not matter where you serve, but from the goose's perspective, we could get a lot more accomplished in the world and for God together rather than on our own. It reminds me of the psalm we just read, Psalm 133:1. How good and pleasant, que bueno es, when God's people live together in unity. The psalmist understood, like the geese, that teamwork truly makes the dream work. I could argue that more than teams, what is needed in today's society is a desire for community, a yearning for community, una comunidad en conjunto. We need a greater sense of community if we truly want to realize global solidarity. Now, I'm using the word global to mean local and global. So what is solidarity? What is global or global solidarity to you? I would like to invite everyone who is on Zoom, if you could put in the chat a word or a phrase that you're thinking symbolizes or what it means to be in global or global solidarity. I would also like to ask our colleagues and friends and family at PSR physically, if you come off mute and maybe say a word or two or a phrase that symbolizes global solidarity. So as we see, we have unity.
Advocacy.
Deep listening.
Compassion. Trust.
Empathy.
what the first astronaut looking at Earth from space realized when he saw that view of our planet from cosmology.
Mm.
Understanding histories.
And online we have unity, equity, love in action, empathy, all really good descriptors and of global solidarity. According to Kohlers and Schultz, global solidarity, I quote, is portrayed as the duty of all human beings to provide aid to those suffering injustices and to address the structural problems, yes, the structural problems that lead to these injustices, end quote. Some of those structural problems, as we know today, continue to plague us, such as white supremacy, heteronormativity, and systemic racism, just to name a few. The Catholic Relief Services states, and I quote, "Solidarity is a call to recognize each individual person as part of one human family." Yes, one human family, regardless of ethnic, national, racial, gender, economic, political, or ideological differences. Furthermore, they state, we all have a common origin, having been created in the image and likeness of God. We are called not only to recognize the dignity of each person or of each individual person in word only, but also to fully respect that person's or group's human dignity in our daily lives. Yes, in our daily lives. By seeing and understanding others as our sisters and brothers to whom we have responsibility, end quote. In other words, some of these authors are saying that that global or global solidarity is a shared responsibility. Say that with me out loud: shared responsibility. And that's what we have as we think of global solidarity. One more definition, so to say, by the United Nations, as they describe what is global solidarity. They stated like this, and I quote, "International cooperation is the core of international or global solidarity. But that international solidarity is not limited to international assistance and cooperation, aid, charity, or humanitarian assistance. International solidarity should be understood in a broader concept that includes sustainability in international relations, especially international economic relations, the peaceful coexistence of all members of the international community, equal partnerships, and the equitable sharing of benefits and burdens, refraining from doing harm or posing obstacles to the greater well-being of others, including in the international economic system and to our ecological habitat for which we are responsible," end quote. Today, I would like to encourage us to think about global community in terms of, I'm Christian, so I think of the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, how the Trinity operates, how the Trinity, as we come to understand it through scriptures, and their shared equity. I'm reminded of the 7th century theologian John of Damascus, who described the relationship of the Trinity as a perichoresis. Say it with me today, perichoresis. A perichoretic image of the Trinity is that of the three persons of God in constant movement in a circle that implies intimacy, equality, unity, yet distinction in love. They are a community working together. And as for me as a Christian, I see it in terms of God not being like Jesus, and Jesus is not the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit is neither God or Jesus, but they serve together. They serve one another in love. In all of their diversity and uniqueness, they are one. So my question today for us as a community is, could we not do the same? Could we not serve each other and together for justice and global solidarity? Let's get back to the geese. It did not take me a long time to realize that geese may be more clever than humans in expressing community. Let me explain. When a goose falls out of the V formation, it quickly realizes the drag and resistance of flying alone and goes right back into formation, goes right back. In other words, the goose comprehends that it can do more with others in formation than it can by itself. And so you see, when we as leaders learn to embrace others in their ministry or spheres of work, a lot more will be accomplished for the reign, for the basileia of God. Like geese, we too ought to have, like geese, we too find it that it's harder to persevere alone or minister to people or with people by ourselves. It takes more work to strive solo than with a team or a community. So why not work smarter rather than harder? As a community of leaders, more innovation and creativity can be produced for our organizations, for our teams, for our cities, states, our nations, and our world. One writer pens, a major advantage of being led by a team is that the results always transcend what an individual from that team could have produced on their own. So like the geese, we find that working and serving with others most of the time is a better choice. I'm reminded of Romans 12:10. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another, yes, above yourselves. In other words, we serve each other and add value to one another. Allow me to ask you another question. Have you ever felt alone in your calling as a leader for social justice? It does not have to be that way. Geese show us a better way of teamwork and of community leadership. Let me explain. When the lead goose gets tired of leading the pack, it falls back into the V formation and another goose takes the point. Wow, please catch this. Another goose takes the point when the front goose rotates back because it is tired. Wouldn't that be awesome if one day or in a certain week you felt like you could not perform a certain level that was expected of you? But no problem, because someone else on the team or in your community could take the baton from you. The question becomes, if the goose does it, why can't we? The Apostle Paul declared in 1 Corinthians 12:12, and I read from the NIV right now, just as a body, though, has many parts, but all its many parts are one body, so it is with Christ. I should be able to confide in you and you in me. This is what it means to be on a team and live and serve through community leadership. Parker explains that teams have greater productivity, effectively use resources, have better decision-making and problem solving, and deliver better quality of products and services. This means that you will feel encouraged to know that you do not have to bear all the weight of the project of your church, of your organization, or the division in which you serve. As we think today about global solidarity, it can be taken on as a team of leaders. When this is done, everyone will grow and develop, or at least everybody should develop and grow to the leaders God has called them to be. Jesus chose 12. This should give us a clue that we are made to be in community, en comunidad. Now, I'm not sure if geese have ever read Christian scriptures or just have an inner sense of doing what is right. For example, we find in 1 Corinthians 12:26 from the NIV, if one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. When it comes to geese, if one goose falls out of the V formation for being sick or potentially shot or something else matters and it's wounded, two others follow it and help it out and protect it. If the goose happens to die, then those two move on. But the interesting part is that they will try to heal and feed that injured goose as long as they can. The interesting point of this all is that the two healthy ones will stay with its fellow team member until it heals. Be burdened with those who are burdened. struggle with those who are in the struggle. And they will fly away together, seeking their group or connecting with another flock. This brought me to what the U.S. Catholic bishops in 1997 stated as they made a call for global solidarity. And I quote, "Solidarity is an action on behalf of the human family, calling us to help overcome the divisions in our world. Solidarity binds the rich and the poor. It makes the free zealous for the cause of the oppressed. It drives the comfortable and secure to take risks for the victims of tyranny and of war. It calls those who are strong to care for those who are weak and vulnerable across the spectrum of human life. It opens homes and hearts to those in flight from terror and to migrants whose daily toil supports affluent lifestyles." This reminded me of the action that God required from the prophet Amos and his contemporaries in Amos chapter 5, verse 16 and 17. This is what God said to the prophet: "Go out into the streets and lament loudly. Fill the malls and the shops with cries of doom. Weep loudly, not me, not us, not now. Empty offices, stores, factories, workplaces. Enlist everyone in the general lament. I want to hear it loud and clear when I make my visit. God declares." And that was the Message Bible. So why do we lament? Why should we lament? Why would we cry? Well, as Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King said in his day, there were some evils that we had to deal with, and we still deal with them today. For instance, poverty, racism, and militarism, and the war economy that the U.S. perpetuates. Even with the current war in Ukraine, yes, I lament and cry and declare we need justice. Necesitamos justicia. Say it with me. We need justice. Necesitamos justicia. We face ecological devastation and climate change, displacing people from their homes. And all of that comes along with climate change and this nature. We need justice. Necesitamos justicia. We face denial of public education. And if you happen to get some of that education, it's with a hidden curriculum that rejects critical race theory, Latino, Latina critical theory, and anything else that may shine light on voices from the margins, anything that would combat or compete against meta narratives. We are denied, some of us are denied healthcare. I declare and lament and cry out with you today. We need justice. Say it with me. Necesitamos justicia. We face religious nationalism joined with white supremacy. And these same folks trying to erase history, the history of slavery, of genocide, of colonialism, all the other isms as well. And most likely to favor them, I declare and cry, we need justice. These are some of the same people that will huddle us up and then say, let us pray, P-R-A-Y. And then they will pray, P-R-E-Y, on vulnerable and other global society members. We are dealing with some crazy and evil people today, most of which carry unearned profit, privilege, and power. And I mean profit as P-R-O-F-I-T, nothing to do with the prophetic or prophet of P-R-O-P-H-E-T. We are facing various human crises on a global scale, global and local at the same time. Declare with me, we need justice. Necesitamos justicia. We are dealing with perverted politics and laws like legislation being reversed, voter suppression laws being enacted, state governors sending migrants from one state to another. We need to lament. We also need to act. Yes, we need to lament, but also act on behalf of the least of these. I declare it with me today. We need justice. Necesitamos justicia. Romans 12:15 states like this, says it like this. Rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. When communities treat each other with this type of care, respect, and engagement, leaders create a circle dance, a perichoretic image like the Trinity. And people are more willing to go the extra mile for others and even their organization. The apostle tells us in Ephesians 4:15 and 16, rather speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up. Somebody shout, we need to grow up in every way into him who is the head, into Christ, for whom the whole body, joined and held together by every joint with which it is equipped, when each part is working properly, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love, end quote. This is the point of building teams and serving in community leadership, to build one another up in love and to serve one another with gladness. Would you high five somebody who's next to you and just say, I'm glad to be here with you? If you're online, would you just put it in the chat? Would you put a little emoji up of a high five? Can you do that? I like to see some. Okay, I like to see some action there. There we go. There we go. It's good to be here. It's good to serve you in love. Allow me to close. Community and team leadership for global solidarity is not a new concept, but one that at times is neglected. As religious leaders, we are called to live out our leadership service within communities and teams. Like my God, the Holy Trinity is a team. We learned an unusual puzzle from the Trinity. They are diverse, yet they are one. Aaron White states, and I quote, there is a mutual sharing of love and giving to one another. The Trinity shares life and gives life, end quote. We may all be different in culture, such as race and ethnicities, religious or faith traditions, or no faith or religion at all, sexual orientation, abilities, disabilities, even veteran status, and even philosophies of leadership. But at the end of the day, I'm convinced that we are all called to serve one another in love, as Christ declared that he had come to serve and not to be served. That's found in Matthew 20:28. According to Reverend Dr. King, in his message, The Drum Major Instinct, if you haven't read that or heard that message, please get it, listen to it this week on YouTube. It will bless you. In The Drum Major Instinct, we hear Dr. King encouraging everyone that everyone can be great because everyone can serve. You don't need a degree to serve. We don't need special invitations to serve. We just need to act in service and serve. Geese give us the best illustration of how to end this message today, dealing with global solidarity. When geese are flying in a V formation, they are usually honking. Have you ever heard them honk before? When I found out why they honk, I was astonished. They honk to motivate the one who is up front leading the way. They recognize that the goose in the front is receiving the most resistance. In other words, if I or we could speak goose, I bet I would hear things like, that's right, keep up the good work, you're leading great, you are awesome, you are all right. Do you need to pass the baton? We're here for you, we're supporting you, we've got great airlift, so on and so forth. We would hear probably some of those things, but from our side, all we hear is honk, honk, honk. In the same way, I can imagine that some of our leaders here today who have paved the way for a healthier PSR and a better world overall in different sectors of society have been facing similar resistance to their social justice initiatives and work, possibly being criticized and even underappreciated. Would you join me in honking for them, whether they are here with us or somewhere else today? Come on. Let us honk them along. Can you unmute? Can we unmute the PSR? And let's hear that honk. That's right. That's right. We bless you and thank you. We say honk. Let's honk together for justice. Let's honk and act for solidarity, for global solidarity. Let's honk and act for unity and love and equity and liberation. Sí, liberación para la gente. Honk and act for the dismantling of systemic inequities. Honk each other along as we act for, as Jesus said, the least of these. Let's honk for one another. Come on, let's honk. And finally, let's honk for Miss Ann, for Andrew, for the rest of the community life and spiritual care team. Come on, let's honk for them too. Would you give them a round of applause? Thank you for always opening up this space for us. As I close for the third time, I am a Apostolic Wesley, Nandanama, Anabaptist, Luther Presbyterian. This is how we preach. I hope you would appreciate it. For those of us already doing the work in local solidarity, keep fighting the good fight. For those of us that have not yet started or are waiting, just get into the game. Let me encourage you, just get into the game. Find somebody who's doing the work and get involved. Get started today. Pick an area of injustice and team up with others and go for it. As Bishop Flunder says, we need more people who will put their faces and their lives into this work. The ministry of Jesus and the ministry of those who are known to be the bringers of the reign of God, the Basileia of God, cannot hide or do this work on the down low, end quote. So let's just do it. Let's get it done. Never forget, you are not alone. We are in this fight and work together. Stay together. Stay united and in local solidarity and in love. God bless you, family.